Hey, what's up, Lauren? How's it going?
Pretty good. How about you?
Doing good. A little bit before this, we just discussed our interesting pinky situation, but other than that, I'm doing pretty good.
Can't complain too much.
Yeah. Callaway,
Sure
what's
you
up?
could, but it wouldn't do any good. I'm good. I'm good. Just got the new setup and finally got Lauren Carlini on the show. So thanks for joining us. It took a long time to get everyone's schedules with the 3 different countries involved, but we're here. We made it, and we're having a good time.
We've done it. Weeks. This is weeks in the making, folks.
Yes. Highly
Yeah.
anticipated.
All right. Well, let's get into it then. So, Lauren, as we typically start, how'd you kind of get into volleyball? We kind of look for like an elevator pitch of your career, basically. How you got started, where you're at now.
Yeah. So I started playing when I was super young, 5, 6 years old, with club volleyball. And I really started early because my mom played volleyball in college at Appalachian State. And so she was always bringing me into the gym when she was doing her like Wednesday night women's leagues. And so, yeah, I was in there at a really young age, and 8th grade came around. I kind of had to decide between softball and volleyball, and I had to make the decision. And I said, okay, I think volleyball is going to get me a little farther in life. And I believe that this is my passion and what I'm meant to be doing. And yeah, here I am, 26 years old, still doing it. And I feel like I made a great choice. So I've had a really long career so far, and I hope to keep it going here professionally for a couple more years. And yeah, just had really great experiences along the way.
Well, I would definitely say it's safe to say you made the right choice in volleyball over softball.
She could be world champion.
Right. Just like softball too, right? Like they got taken out of the Olympics for a while, and then now they're put back in. So when things like that were happening, I'm like, okay, I really made the right decision.
I would say definitely the right decision.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got into volleyball super early. I actually knew Lauren back in high school, and she was an animal back in the high school days. So let's talk about some of your club experience and just high school experience, and then getting recruited to Wisconsin.
Yeah. So as I said, started when I was really young, 5, 6 years old. So I played for Sports Performance for 11 years, which I think actually is still the record, and I'm extremely proud of it. Which that's like a lot of character building for 11 years. If anyone has played at Spry or knows Spry, it is, yeah, you're on the struggle bus for a lot of the time, but really good lessons along the way. And I mean, Matt, like you said, they trained me to be like an animal, right? Like a robot, and just like get in the gym, grind it out. And I loved it. I would say the only time I really got burnt out was actually like going into college, like that summer before college, nice enough to give me that time away from volleyball. And he said, hey, just when preseason comes around, like be ready to come and rumble, do what you need to do and take a breather. Because when you get here, like it's 110%, we're going. So going back a few steps with recruiting, I started going to Wisconsin camps, I don't know, maybe 5th, 6th grade, and got to know the coaching staff and a lot of the teams throughout the years. And I just loved it. It was only 2 hours away from home. And, you know, the atmosphere was really cool. I liked it. I feel like it was the full package. So I ended up committing my freshman year of high school, which is stupid early. You can't even do that anymore. But again, it ended up working out really well for me. I kind of knew that's where I wanted to go from day one. Even when the coaching change happened my senior year of high school, I still decided to stay the course because I believed in Wisconsin and what they were trying to do, and especially Kelly Sheffield coming in as the new head coach. So yeah, I never really had any other schools in mind. It was like Wisconsin or bust.
Did anybody ever I'm assuming other coaches approached you about recruiting, but was there any coaches that were really heavy, trying to get you to go?
You know, I committed so early. Of course, I got the letters and invites to come for camps when I was in middle school, but springtime of my freshman year, I had already committed. So by then it was a done deal. And even prior to that, I would say if I didn't go to Wisconsin, I feel like I probably would have ended up at a Michigan or a UCLA. I don't know why, like blue and yellow for me are kind of cool. So maybe that's in my
Colors top
like,
priority as to which school to go to.
Yeah.
It's got to be. If I'm not looking good, I'm not playing good. And that's facts.
Exactly.
Hey, that's secretly why I went to Penn State. I love that gray and blue. Oh, it's clean.
It's all about that. And of course, the brands. Yeah, you can't be going to an Under Armour school or anything like that. You got to go somewhere cool.
That is very true. I did not pick mine based on colors. We had like the ugliest maroon and gold, but we at least had Nike, which was nice.
I can definitely vouch for Lauren about sports performance and just the drill camp that club is. And she played there for 11 years, which is how long I've played volleyball for, which just blows my mind now thinking about it. Because I didn't start till, my like freshman year of high school, sophomore year of high school. So that's crazy. But even the guys side versus the girls side at sports performance is quite different. I mean, I would say it was strict for guys, but I mean, the girls are just like lined up shoulder to shoulder, toe to toe around the end line. If they're not, they're running stairs. I mean, horror stories,
no
guys.
Nail polish, no makeup. Your shirt is tucked in. Like it is run like a military like operation. And that's why to this day I'm obsessed with like anything military, Navy SEALs, because I don't know, that's just what I'm used to. And I value those things. So yeah, it's really ingrained into you. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's insane. Like, wow. Yeah. I mean, because every men's club I've ever seen is like so laid back. Like even ones that try to be strict, like aren't even strict. Like even at mine, like there would be guys that they'd be like, oh, like I got a basketball game tonight. And it's like a rec pickup league and they would just skip practice. And I was like, oh shit. All right. It's like so different, but that's insane. And again, like you said, committing your freshman year, I couldn't imagine a guy committing their freshman year. Like I mean, it's already crazy to think of like a girl doing it, but I guess you guys are kind of like way more, you guys start training at a much younger age. But like, I just think of any freshman like guy trying to commit, like there's no shot. Like everybody is like, nobody's hit a growth spurt. Everybody looks like a deer on ice. Like it's the worst thing ever.
Roll the die. Like honestly, is it going to be tall? Is it going to be short? Is it going to be big? Is it going to be small? Like there's a lot more guessing. I think that goes into it. One, just because of developmental purposes, but also opportunities, right? Like you guys don't, like men's volleyball is not as widely known or widely played. I feel like it's basketball, it's soccer, that gets a lot more attention and probably takes away from some of the volleyball players early. Like they want to play basketball or they want to play soccer or these other sports. And I feel like volleyball is more, I don't know, like a secondary or like another option that isn't, I don't know, I guess addressed or found out until you guys are a little older. So I think that's just the differences between men and women's volleyball and kind of access as well.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's like a kid growing up that's in the sports. You're watching basketball, you're watching the NBA, you're watching the NFL. You want to play those sports.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to be in the NBA my whole life, like growing up all the way to high school. I get to high school and I just was not enjoying playing basketball for the coaches there. And I was like, all right, let's try something else. And then fell in love with volleyball. So it definitely was like a backup, but yeah, I would say for girls, that's kind of one of the things that you are kind of watching growing up and something you really want to do. And that's a good point, I'd say.
Definitely.
Yeah. And it's sweet that that's like such a dominant sport in like women's, because like basketball, like most of the major sports are like not male dominated because there is a bigger women's, like there's a lot of women that play basketball obviously, but like the men's league is what is carrying the most salary and all the other stuff. So it's nice to a degree that the women's is like the big show for volleyball. Like everybody wants to watch women's volleyball. Women have a lot more overseas stuff. There's a lot more teams and things like that. Obviously college, like it's crazy. There's like 300 something division ones, and men's there's like 25 or something. So
it's got you guys, it's crazy the amount of comments and times when I'm overseas here and they're like, how is there not a professional league in the United States? Like especially for women, like girls volleyball. And I'm like, you guys, I don't know, because it's seriously one of the biggest college sports. It's all over ESPN. Like we are getting a lot more like primetime showing and eyes like watching NCAA volleyball, and yet we all have to go overseas and play because there's nothing sustainable in the United States. And it just blows my mind. And of course, that's a lot of that is money based and like advertising. But I don't know, it literally blows my mind that we can't get this figured out and like have a professional league in the United States for how popular volleyball is.
Yeah, especially when you look at like Wisconsin, Texas, Nebraska, like they're selling out like massive stadiums for college volleyball. Yeah, literally, yeah, like Texas, I feel like every weekend I just see a bigger crowd at their games, and it's insane. Would you ever look in or consider the Athletes Unlimited? Have you been approached by them? Is it something that you would do? Because we don't know all the ins and outs, but from what we see on the outside, it seems pretty interesting.
Yeah, so I think this is its second year, Athletes Unlimited second year. And I think it's a really cool idea. I'm not sure if it's going to be super sustainable in the long run, just with how the points are based and kind of picking teams. But I decided to not go that route just because obviously professional volleyball overseas is way more competitive, and just being on the national team, like monetarily, playing overseas makes way more sense than being with Athletes Unlimited. So that right now is not in the cards for me. But there's another league coming up, LOVB, League One Volleyball. And they are trying to start in 2023, I want to say. It's going to be their first year. And it's going to be more like professional volleyball based. So right now they're buying clubs throughout the United States, and they're going to make it like a grassroots program. So each club is going to feed into the professional team there. And they're copying the model that all the professional team use overseas. So between that, and I think it's important that all of the board of directors and the people in charge of this League One volleyball, they're not really volleyball people, they're business people. So the money for that is not super comparable, but much higher than what you're going to be earning with Athletes Unlimited. So I can see myself getting into that once I'm done playing overseas. I think that could, if they get all the, kinks worked out early, that could be something I would be interested in.
Yeah, I mean, starting up leagues, it's going to be really hard just because, they aren't going to be able to have the funds to pay players like they would do overseas that have these established leagues with big time investors. But there's definitely a business model. You could take business investors to any college women's volleyball match that's like of ranked teams and be like, yes, there's demand for this. Look, it's sold out. Okay. People are going nuts. People like to watch this. Can we get this going? And then it's just going to be a matter of, like with the LVA and NBA, I feel like a lot of guys that are kind of like on their way out and retiring from playing pro, they still like to play. And it's like, okay, like this is fun, competitive volleyball in the US. And having some of those bigger names that are like retired from playing professional or on the USA team start to join those leagues kind of helps bring in that willingness for investors to kind of shell out more money, and hopefully will improve over time. But it's going to be slow rolling because we can't just buy out contracts of people playing in Europe right now.
Yeah, that impossible.
Yes.
Yeah, and with that, like like you were saying, you with the VLA and stuff like that, and the men's leagues that they do have going. I mean, Athletes Unlimited is obviously looks way more professional than anything the two men's pro league are doing, but the two men's pro league are obviously kind of like trying to like dance around with whatever funds they do have. But I agree. I think that like once you kind of get those names, because even Athletes Unlimited, obviously they have some huge names that they've been able to get in. But yeah, like if you can't, everybody I've talked to, it's like if you can't match the money, like obviously they're not, like until like you're done and you got to like hang up and you're just going to do it for fun. If you can make a couple extra, like a little bit of extra money on the side when you're home. But yeah, I think when they get some legit, like Lloyd Ball in the gym for the VLA is the funniest thing ever. Like when I'm at the tournaments, like it's so funny to see him like walk around. It's like he'll like occasionally be at the bench, or he'll just walk over and like check himself in, and then he'll like dish out a couple of balls, and then he'll go grab like a bush light and like sit in the room or whatever. It's so funny.
What a life.
I know.
Living the dream, man.
He definitely is, man. He's a volleyball legend, and he's just gonna keep running with that.
Also, so next I want to kind of get into Turkey. So you're in Turkey right now. What other club teams or pro teams, not club teams, Jesus, have you played for like since you finished up?
Yeah. So, okay, I'm in my 5th year professionally now, which I feel like I just started yesterday and I'm still getting like my feet under me, which is wild town. First year I was in Scandicci, Italy, so right outside Florence. Second year I was in Novara, Italy, so about 45 minutes west of Milan. Third year, when COVID season hit, Moscow, Russia. And then last season and this season, I am in Istanbul, Turkey. So that has been my little trot around the globe so far.
What's been your favorite place to play so far?
Oh, Turkey by millions and millions of miles. Like
Yeah.
for me, I love Turkey. I love their culture. I love their food. The people here are beyond helpful and nice, like always willing to lend a helping hand. Or if I need a reservation somewhere, they'll call and do this. And if my phone isn't working, they'll come with me to the store. Like I, I don't know, just like so welcomed and so helpful, I think has really made me feel like I am at home here. Um, so that's definitely the main thing. I feel like I didn't get that when I was in Italy. Anyone who's played in Italy, I think has very similar feelings of they're very judgy and I don't know, this is their way of living life and you have to learn Italian and you have to live how they live, or else you're kind of like looked down upon, was the vibes I got from Italy a lot of the time. And then Russia, honestly, I feel like I was only there for 5 months, so I got a snapshot of it and I was really lucky because I had a good group of other foreigners playing in Moscow. So I had like Eric Soji, Helena Havelkova and her boyfriend, um, and who else? There was a couple other foreigners around. So we were always out and about doing things. So I honestly didn't focus on volleyball much that season. But no, by far and away, I would say Turkey has just been the best experience. And if it's up to me, I will be here and finish my professional career here.
Very cool. Yeah, it's nice to be able to find somewhere that you really enjoy. I can't speak from experience.
It's hard, right? Like
oh, it's hard.
Italy is this, I don't know, or like for some people, Italy is their place. They found it and they're like, oh, this feels like home. I'm really comfortable here. I can see myself staying here. And that just wasn't it for me. I wasn't super happy. I wasn't feeling fulfilled. But here, I just have so many things to do. And it really does feel like home now. So yeah, it's hard to find overseas, but when you do, wow, you want to like grasp it with both hands and not let it go.
What you said about Italy makes sense based on the guys that I know that have played there for a long time. You know, all of them that have played there for 3, 4, 5 years plus. They're fluent in Italian. You know, they definitely like embrace appropriation to the culture there, which makes sense. And I think it definitely was a little bit harder for them their first couple of years, but once they got used to it and kind of accepted how things were, I think they have enjoyed their time there a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, on this podcast all the time, we talk about how you tell someone, oh, I'm playing in Italy. They're like, oh my God, you're so lucky. That's amazing. And then you're like, yeah, it's cool. Cause you don't really want to tell them like the parts that suck about it, you know, especially like strangers in passing. So
you don't want to be the Debbie Downer. You don't want to be tearing down Italy from the inside out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I could if I wanted.
Callaway just wants to tear down Romania. That's the only thing he wants to do. His experience there was terrible. And he said a couple of times, he's like, I'm gonna one day just like unleash on Romania and explain my whole situation and tear into it.
I love hearing professional stories and people like living abroad because wow. I mean, okay, the world is really small, just little run-ins and everything. But when you feel completely alone by yourself and then you're in a foreign country, I mean, the things you do, the things you think.
It's dark. We'll just keep it at that. No, I mean, yeah, we all have our horror stories, I'm sure. But yeah, one of these days, I'm just going to go in on Romania and they're going to get everything coming to them.
I love it.
Actually, so there is one thing I wanted to bring up. I'm gonna send it to you guys before I say anything. And on the podcast, like I'll make sure to put the clip up if that's okay. But No. Well, it's nothing to be nervous about. It's kind of funny. Yeah, we'll see here. All right. All right, I'm pulling it up. Almost got it. And Callaway, there you are. All right, so I just sent it to you guys through Instagram. I want your breakdown on this clip because I saw this. I saw this like the day I was messaging you trying to set it up the first time, and this literally came up. And I told my fiance, I was like, "You won't believe this." I was like, "I'm trying to set up this like interview or whatever you want to call it with Lauren, and this thing comes right across my screen as I'm like messaging you."
Oh God. Okay, so this, you guys, I got freaking sniped in the side of the head. So this was last week. Yeah, about a week ago. Okay, anyways. And so having a jolly old time. It was Surf Pass before one of our biggest matches, Galatasaray. It's like our derby. So they're both of our teams are in Istanbul. They were fighting for 4th place with us to stay in playoffs. It's a must win. So morning of the game, I am vibing. We are just like doing Surf Pass. Everything's going well. I'm talking to my strength coach, who's directly ahead of me in position 4. All of a sudden, the lights go out. I mean, I get nailed directly on my left side. It looks so dramatic. Okay, I'm a little dramatic to start, but the video, like it really, I just tried to grab the net to get my bearings. And then I was like, all I remember thinking was, whoa. And then I dropped. So everyone, like Jim went silent. All I could think of, like my head was spinning so bad. I had no idea what just happened. This girl came out of left field and sniped me straight in the ear. So first I was like, I'm definitely concussed. Like I've never had a concussion, but this is it. And so it took me a couple minutes. I was, I don't know, 2-3 minutes. I was on the ground, stood up, and I had like a black spot in my vision straight ahead. I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely concussed. Fuck. So then go and sit down, and I'm trying to laugh because I know no matter what, I have to play that night. So I'm laughing and I'm trying to like read the room and make sure everyone knows it's gonna be fine. Don't worry about me. So that night, okay, I come home, I sleep for a little bit, even though I don't think you're supposed to do that. I play with the cotton ball in my ear to like, the noise was so ridiculous to try and like basically limit as much noise as possible. And a couple days go by and my ear is still hurting like MFer. And I'm like, why is my ear hurting so bad? I go to the ear, nose, throat doctor in Turkey. Turns out she perforated my eardrum. She ruptured my eardrum. I have a hole in my eardrum because of this attack. So, I was like, I have the weirdest things happen to me. And another fun story. So this same team last year, again, always a big battle with them. This season, I had my mild concussion with my ruptured eardrum. Last season, during the match, I was trying to chase a ball under the net. And I don't know how I managed. I didn't clear the antenna. And so I clipped right above my right eye, blood everywhere. And so I'm playing with a bloody eye. I was literally so close to scratching my eyeball. I had eyelashes in the antenna. Ended up having to go to the hospital the next day and get stitches. My trainer didn't think I need stitches. I said, sir, it's bleeding after 24 hours. I think I need stitches. So yeah, it's just.
No, I was gonna ask you about that because you're like, I was a little dramatic in the video. I was like, okay, well, like, let's give some context because last year this girl ripped off her eyeball and then still played the rest of the match. So she's tough. Let's give her a break here. Yeah, the video does look dramatic.
I'm pretty tough. And like, no, this girl sniped me and I didn't see it coming. And that was the initial like, whoa reaction. And then really my wits were gone. Like, yeah, lights were off. Nobody was home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had a few concussions, a couple that were minor and then a couple that were, I was like, I don't know what's going on right now. Like for sure. They're scary, especially the first one. You're like, okay, I think I know. No, especially a couple of days after, like I was in school and I was like trying to go to lectures and the lights were yelling at me and
Mhm.
I'm like, stop yelling, lights. And they're just making,
Fair quit.
like, oh wait, no, they don't make sound. They're just blinding me.
And then, yeah, of course, Eric Stokes is out here scheming. I put the video on my close friends, and then he saw it and was like, "Can I use this video on TikTok?"
Of course.
And then, of course, Volley World saw it, and they were like, "I need this video. Give it." And I was like, "Okay, whatever. I don't care." Like for me, people can say what they want to say or do whatever they want to do. It's all in good humor, and I still get such a good laugh out of it.
That's good. Good for being a good sport.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is good because I have never met you until right now. And when I saw that video, I was like, fuck, she got rocked. I was like, I don't know how she is or if she's going to want to like replay this or run this back. But after the first couple minutes into this episode, I got a pretty good feeling that it wouldn't bother you.
No. And it's so funny now because this girl is the youngest, the one who sniped me is the youngest one on the team. She's like on the youth team almost. And of course it's her who fucking nails me. And so now everyone's calling her the sniper and she wants to cry every single time someone calls her the sniper.
She just wants to let it go.
Serve, like remotely close to anyone and they're like, sniper, stop it. And she's like,
she really, when I saw the serve, it was not anywhere close to getting over the net. Like
no. You know, when you guys like completely miss the net and then someone yells something, for us, it's baklava. Like that's your treat you're bringing. Like it's Turkish treat if you miss the net completely on serving. Honestly, she deserved a week of baklava for that. Every day for a week, you're bringing baklava, girl.
How's your like balance and stuff now with your eardrum? Because that's kind of a big factor there.
Yeah, it's still, I feel wonky. I think that's a good way to say it. I feel wonky. I am still playing with cotton in my left ear. I try to play with wax. You know, when you're young and you're trying to learn how to swim and they stick those wax things in your ears. I tried playing with that. That felt weird. So now I just have like cotton and like basically petroleum jelly and I'm playing with that to try and like equalize, I guess. But it's still really weird. Like I cannot hear out of this ear and then everything out of this one is so loud and so echoey. It's like I'm in a weird tunnel. So not 100%, but.
Is there like, when is it supposed to get better? Is there like treatment?
He said, okay, it's probably gonna take a while to heal, but like come back. So I should be going back next week just for him to take a look and see if it's closing at all or if it's just like open. And if it is still open, apparently they like put a patch on it and I heard it's really painful. My USA trainer was like, try not to get it because it's gonna hurt like a bitch. So I'm hoping it'll heal itself.
Probably over time it will, but it just takes a lot of time. There's like little muscles and all that. There's like your eardrum. It's like this little tiny little flap over your ear, you know. And honestly, probably just the air like getting pushed in your ear from the ball, like did it.
The immediate like impact. Yeah. How's this even possible? But anything's possible if you can dream it. God.
Okay, so comparing college women's volleyball to playing pro, like what's the level of care? Like how are things different for you guys? Because we get it from the guys' side a lot, but we haven't talked to too many women on their opinion on it.
Yeah, difference between, I think that's honestly one of the main kind of like almost culture shocks in a way when you get to start playing professional volleyball. You think it's going to be this like team, hoorah, rah, everyone together, always, you know, excited for each other, very welcoming atmosphere. And I would say a lot of the times that's not the case. You're a professional, like this is your job, right? And so if you're not doing your job, you have the chance to get fired. Like you have to take recovery way more importantly. You have to like be careful about what you're eating, you're sleeping, making sure you're in a good routine. Whereas in college, it's like, okay, I got 3 exams this week. And so I'm trying to cram. I have to stay up late. I have practice in the morning. Whereas all I'm doing is watching Netflix and going to practice. Like it's a little different in that aspect. So another thing I had learned was like, what am I going to do with all my free time? Like in college, there is none of that. You get professional, you're like twiddling your thumbs, waiting between practices and trying to figure out what to do. So That was another like main culture shock, just not having that like full team hoorah rah, really welcoming feeling. And then literally trying to figure out what you're going to do with all your free time were like the two shocks for me.
Yeah, I think it's a lot pretty similar as far as like the professional atmosphere and guys, and that it's just not the same team camaraderie. You're not there with these people for 4 or 5 years. It's like a 1 year and done. I mean, maybe you'll stay 2-3 years, kind of depending on the situation. And it's a job, and these half your team doesn't care about their job nearly as much as you do,
Yeah.
and it's just a very weird dynamic. And I think we talked about it with Blake a lot. That, you know, like, especially as middles, like you're usually a team guy if you're a middle, because you're not, you know, like the guy scoring all the points like crazy, and you just want your team to do well. And then you kind of have to adapt how you play from being a team guy. You just want the team to do well to like, I have to perform as good as possible. And that's the only way the team's going to do better. It's not the same dynamic, you know, at all really, but.
For sure. And there's so much that goes into it too. Like you're thinking, like for me, if I'm having whatever, a bad week or 1 or 2 bad games, you're thinking, wow, like, will this affect my contract next season? Like, are they happy with me? Are they not? There's just so much more in depth than what you feel at the college level with that.
Team dynamic, and you had said it was a big adjustment to try to figure out what to do with all the free time. So what were some of those things that you started doing in your free time?
Yeah, so I would say my first 2 years, I really got into journaling and reading. I was always a big reader, but always just trying to like stay busy and I don't know, write down my own thoughts and then just read as many books as possible. I think I started like an Instagram thing. Yeah. Where like I would just rate all the books that I had read, and that was a hit. I actually need to get back to doing that. Mental note. Anyways. So yeah, I started doing that. And then Moscow, I was really into podcasts. I don't know. That year was just the year of podcasts for me. So I would always say, hey, Alexa, good morning. And then she would tell me, she doesn't talk to me. Okay, good. And so I would do that, listen to podcasts. I hung out with a lot of friends when I was in Russia, so that was nice. And then Turkey, honestly, I don't really do that much productive stuff. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I watch a lot of Netflix and read a little bit, but a lot of times I'm just going and finding like new cafes and coffee shops and exploring a little bit more like outside of my home. So that is like the main thing I really do to keep myself occupied.
How is the language barrier?
You know, it's really not that bad. I'm 5 years into this. So by now I already know there's going to be some like awkward hand signals or like, we're going to use Google Translate. We're going to work our way through this. That a couple of years ago, that would have been a disaster. I would have been so panicked and anxious about it, but now I'm like, whatever, we'll figure it out. It's not that big of a deal. And then I would say most places here, at least where I live, people either speak English or can understand and kind of interact a little bit with it. So yeah, I never feel forced to speak Turkish though. Like no one is ever like, why don't you learn Turkish? You know, you should, since you're living here. I never feel that, which is really nice.
Yeah. And I think we've definitely talked about the awkward encounters that happens when you're living in a country. I will be very upfront. I think like by week 2 of my first year, like I was like, this is going to be my life. Awkward. And I was like more than embracing to it. I was like, I honestly can't wait. Like I feel so comfortable in awkward situations now because when you're over here, you just like literally like every time I go to the store, I'm like, this guy's not gonna know what the fuck I'm saying. And
here we go again. Yeah.
A little pep talk and I get myself through it. I'm like, all right. And my fiance, so she's been over here. She lived here for 2 months with me. Then she had to go back and now she comes back this week. And like even I was on the phone with her and she was with her parents visiting them for the holidays. And she was like, her mom was asking like what I was doing. And I was like walking through a grocery store with them in my headphones, just like fully having a conversation. And her mom was like, isn't that like weird? Like he's walking by a bunch of people. She's like, yeah, he just doesn't really give a fuck now. Like he just kind of accepts that it's going to be weird. And she'll get in those awkward situations now. And she like I can see the panic in her eyes, and she's like, "Shit, what?" And I'm like, "Don't worry,
No
it's
worries.
gonna be fun. We're gonna be very uncomfortable for a very yeah."
Yeah, like checking out at a grocery and you like give them the greeting because you're trying to be friendly, and then they'll rattle off like a whole ass question at you or something, and you're like, "Oh, sorry, no, I speak English, American."
Oh yeah, my favorite thing exactly is Turkish yolk.
Yeah.
No Turkish. That's it. Turkish yolk.
Yep.
And they're like, okay. But they're nice about it, so that's good. They're not assholes, which is God, that just makes your day.
It's very hard. Well, I thought it was very hard to learn because the people trying to teach me were my teammates, and they're like, you know, I'm trying to be serious about learning. They're only teaching me bad words, or like I'll ask them what this means, and they're still telling me bad words, and then like I'm like, I'm really only saying curse words at this point in time, aren't I? I probably shouldn't go out around in public trying to say anything these guys are teaching me, but you know, we just do what we can over there.
Exactly. We're doing our best. We really are.
Yeah,
we're doing really cool things that a lot of people will never get to experience, or they have to pay a lot of money to be able to come and experience. And yeah, I always remind myself that if I'm ever feeling like, damn, this gets hard, like it's getting hard, or it's whatever, it's hard being away from family. It's like, you know what? This is a really cool experience to be able to have, especially at this age. So embrace it and enjoy it and make the most out of it, you know?
Definitely.
Yeah. And one thing that like I know, well, I guess you could say notice, but like when because you're living here for 8-9 months, like you said, you can pay a lot of money and come over and get the experience, but most people are only doing that for 1 or 2 weeks. Like no, unless you do something like this or fully move over here, you don't get the real, like, because to actually go to a country and live in like a non-touristy area, be like really like deep and like where they really don't speak any English, and like it's legit like suburbs. Yeah, it's like very interesting to see. And like you said, yeah, it's something that like kind of helps you get through kind of the other times, because it's like you really would not be able to do this. And like if you weren't like playing volleyball and getting paid to do that, you definitely would not want to just be living in a separate country for 9 months.
No, and of course not. And it's like this, when you think about it, these are such good lessons and that you're learning. And what we're doing now, it's like, this is really hard. Like being away from people for this long and being in a culture that you don't really know, you don't know the language. I feel like any other job is just going to be like cakewalk compared to this. I don't know, like
yeah, it is.
mentally, physically, all the things. It's just like, wow, this is like, that's going to be child's play.
Yeah. And I'd say like for myself, like I like to think I was independent once I got to college, but I really wasn't. You know, like I had a lot of support systems still, like even though my parents were in Illinois and I was in Pennsylvania, you know, I could still call or see them like pretty regularly. Once I went to play in Europe, I was like, okay, now I'm independent. Like I have to do almost everything for myself at this point. And just thinking back to what we were just talking about, I remember when the first time I got sick and I was in Estonia, like I didn't understand that there were like pharmacy stores. You know, I thought I could go to like the big supermarket and they'd have a pharmacy in there like we do in the US. So I get there and I'm like, I ask a guy and I was like, "Do you speak English?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Do you know where like the medicine is?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, it's over there." And he like sent me over to, he's like, I just didn't want to talk to that American because there was no medicine wherever he sent me. And I was like, all right, I get it. Okay, I'm an idiot, but whatever, man. You know, you could have just told me the pharmacy is like down the street.
Right.
But whatever. It's just little things like that always like happen over and over again. You're like, what world am I living in right now?
Yeah, and we get really good at improvising over here. Like when things aren't working, I don't know, credit cards may not work at times. You're like, shit, where am I going to find this money? What am I going to do? Like, do I have to wash dishes? You know, okay, it's never gotten to that extent, but like you always are like problem solving or improvising. And these are really important skills. Like in the moment, you don't really realize you're doing it. But then you think back, you're like, okay, if I ever get in a situation like this in the States, that's easy to deal with. Like I can find a solution to pretty much anything.
What was the messiest situation you've gotten in overseas that you kind of had to figure out?
That's a good question. Oh shoot.
Because I've heard some crazy ones of people like going to visit another country their visa's not through. They get like trapped in another country. They're by themselves. They don't have their team. They can't talk to anybody. And like, I've heard some intense ones. I hope yours isn't as bad as that, because that would suck. But
no, nothing as intense as like possibly being like extradited or like deported.
Callaway.
I wasn't deported or anything. It's fine.
Yeah, you were really?
Oh yeah, I got deported from Estonia. It's like
cool.
my team,
How was that for you?
I mean, it wasn't awful. It was just a really stupid, annoying situation because it required me to leave Estonia for like almost 3 months, because that's how long it took me to be able to go back. And I mean, it was like during a month break of our season, but still, I mean, you know, we had 90 days to get my visa in order. And I just kept saying like, hey, it's my first year over there. I don't know shit about anything. I'm like, hey, is the visa good? They're like, it's good. It's good. It's good. All of a sudden, like day 89, 90's here. And they're like, hey, we got to go right now. We got to get this all straightened out. I'm like, okay. And we go to like the police station to do it. And they're like, well, you've been here for 91 days. You have to leave the country now. In fact, if you didn't tell us you were here, you probably could have stayed the whole time. But now that we know you're here, you got to go. And I was like,
damn,
great, this is just fantastic. So I went back home. I got to surprise my parents for Christmas, which was really cool because they had no idea. And I just walked in the door and they're like, what the hell? They shit their pants. And then I went over to Utah with my girlfriend at the time. And then I was just stuck there because the team manager was like on vacation in Africa. And he would only respond to me like once a month. And he's like, hey, Maddie, are you back in Estonia yet? And I'm like, what do you mean? No, like what? How would I have gotten back? What are you talking about? Like,
dude, Romania,
you have a job to do. Oh, Romania, this is a walk compared to Romania.
This is becoming Callaway's interview. Lauren is like,
yes. That's right. So, that's right. Yeah, but I eventually went back to, I had to go to the New York Estonian consulate. So luckily I had family in New York that, you know, could host me for a couple of weeks while I was waiting for the visa to come through. But the whole thing was a complete disaster. And I finally made it back out there. And I felt like I had to kind of like rework everything. I felt like I was like, even though I was on the same team, it just like wasn't the same like comfortableness that it was prior to leaving. And you know, I felt like I had to build back the relationships again.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. Well, I have nothing to top that.
Yeah,
nothing.
don't get deported, guys. I had something else I can't remember though. It'll come back to me maybe.
Well, I got something while you try to remember that, Callaway. So talking about the Olympics a little bit. So we had the Olympics pass this year. You did not get rostered for that, correct?
Correct.
So I heard a lot through the volleyball world that was kind of bullshit. And that it was really that everybody was like shocked. And I was as well shocked that you didn't get rostered. And I don't understand the ins and outs, and I don't want to pick at something that maybe you don't want to talk about or whatever. But if there's any insight you can have on why that happened or what that was like.
Yeah, you know, it was, of course, weird the last 2 years just with COVID and Olympics getting postponed, going into actually 2020, when the Olympics were supposed to happen. I felt really good about my spot and kind of where I was with the team. And then, of course, everything got postponed and really we weren't in the gym at all that summer. I think I was in there for like not even a week and ended up getting COVID at that time. So then first Turkish season goes by and get back in the USA gym. And there's not a lot of time from when we get back and when we were leaving to go to VNL, which was in Italy. So we had our bubble in Italy. And I don't know, it just felt a little off from the beginning. It just didn't feel like the previous year or 2 years previous. And absolutely nothing against their decision or the girls at all. It was just, it was hard, right? Like you go for this goal and this dream that you've had your entire life. And you have to find out in a bubble, where you're stuck with everyone. And that's when the biggest decision of your life is made and told to you. So that was one of the hardest parts, was just being in that exact situation at that time. So it was hard. I mean, I think I'm still processing it, honestly, in certain ways. But it's never, I know they made the right decision. Obviously they won gold, right? Like first time in women's history, and it's amazing. And it's to be celebrated because our team deserved this, you know, and I know that I played a part in that, and I take a lot of pride in knowing that. And it doesn't deviate from the plan of me still wanting to go to the Olympics. So if it's up to me, I'm going to continue through 2024 and try to go to Paris and get a roster spot there. So yeah, I'm not sure I really answered any questions, but it's been hard, and trying to work through it and kind of rebuilding some relationships. But yeah, I would love to continue at Team USA and hopefully shoot for Paris.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. Yeah, definitely answered the question for sure. I mean, I more so just wanted your take and your view on it, because obviously, like you said, it's something you worked for your whole life. It's a sensitive subject. It's not something easy to handle. And also, like you said, in the bubble too, where you're with everybody, but where it definitely makes it tough. But I mean, you know, at the end of the day, it is like literally, quite literally the highest level possible. So they have to like kind of do their whatever they got to do. But we definitely hope we get to see you in 2024 in Paris for sure. And sorry that it had to shake down that way, but, and also congrats. I mean, they did win a gold medal. You were a part of that, and that's incredible. Like, that's not, I mean, because everybody who's a good player, a good coach that you talk to, it's like whoever's in the gym, like whoever your secondaries are, or whoever's in the gym playing against the people that won it are the ones who actually made the difference. That's what I've heard every single time. And it plays true. Like, I've been on teams where the backups are awful. And like, it's so hard to get good training because you're never getting strong serves at you. You're never getting a strong block. Like, I would walk out of a practice with like 30 kills in a 3-set like scrimmage, but then you'd go into a match and you'd only get like 8. So yeah, I don't know. That was just a short detour.
Certainly. The people in the practice gym are just as important as the starters. And yeah, I have a lot of faith that you're going to make it in 2024, Lauren. So keep doing all the things you've been doing your whole career. Yeah.
As long as there's no more gnarly, weird injuries, pinky dislocations, eardrum ruptures, or anything like that.
Yeah.
And don't even put this in the air and in the universe, dude.
Take it back.
I'm sorry. I take it back. I'm sorry.
Take it back.
Yeah. Yeah, you might actually like, we should like do like a little like a wall of shame of hilarious injuries of all the people we've had on, and just get a little vision board of all those hilarious things. I've had my fair of just very odd things happen as well. So
yeah, right. Just like weird things. And I swear it always happens at like very specific times of the year. I don't know why, but like always I would say right before I'm leaving to go overseas. I don't know if it's just from stress or like me preparing, but like I will break out in hives and rashes all over. And this has happened like since I started becoming like, okay, I think my first 3 years of professional volleyball, maybe first 4, I literally broke out in rashes, like just random shit like that.
So in March, we're just putting Lauren in a bubble.
And when I was over here in Germany, and it's my first year in Germany, it was so ridiculous. So I got an infection in my thumb at the beginning. To be fair.
What?
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna really get into
yeah,
this.
Really funny,
right.
guys.
Okay. Yeah, fuck me.
Let's hear it though. Yeah.
No, so I had a really bad habit. I bit my nails. Literally, you're biting your nails.
Literally, I'm biting my nails.
Cool. So yeah, I bite my nails. I used to. I actually stopped because of this. And we had a scrimmage match, and I got home, or like a practice match. I don't know what the hell you want to call it. We get home, and I'm just like relaxing. I wake up the next day, and my thumb like hurts and is like throbbing and like hot. Like my thumb is hot, which I can't explain. Like my thumb is like 50 degrees hotter than the rest of my body. I was like, what the? And my fiance actually was busting my balls. She was like, oh, there's just a ball. Like, stop being a bitch about it. And she was just ripping me apart. And then the next day I go to the doctor, or we go to the ER one of the nights, and they have to like cut my finger open, like drain it. And I was out for like 2 weeks behind it. And the nail got like ripped off. It was so bad. And she was like, wow, I feel really shitty because that sucks. But long story short, I stopped biting my nails, which is great. But then I turn around a month later from a dive that I took. I got infected on my hip. And I was like, what? I've never had an infection in my entire life until I got over here.
Versa on your floors? Are you in a wrestling gym? I'm confused.
I have no idea what they do in Germany, but I guarantee you it's not up to health code, whatever it is. And then again, I'm getting ready for this match where my cousin's here, and I pick him up from the airport, and I literally had to drive straight to a doctor's appointment because I was getting another hip infection. I was like, this is fucking ridiculous. And then that same week I go and I break my pinky. I was like, I can't go a month without not getting some annoying, stupid ass injury in my time in Germany so far.
Yeah, and the Germans are like, oh, these Americans are so fragile. Yeah, come on, Brandon. You got to be tougher for the American name over there, man.
And I'm trying my best, let me tell you.
Speaking of infections, my first year in Scandicci, I got an eye infection. And at first I thought it was like pink eye. But it was so bright, I couldn't even look outside. I actually have I'm not showing it to you guys. It's a very disgusting picture. But I sent it to my manager. I'm like, I literally can't open my eye. It is red, swollen, like tears just coming down. I don't know what's going on. I go to the eye doctor, bacterial infection in my eye. I was like, how the fuck did I get a bacterial infection in my eye? Apparently that's why I started using daily contact lenses instead of the 2 weeks where they sit in the same like cesspool of grossness, whatever. So I couldn't wear contacts for, I think it was like 3 weeks almost. So I literally played volleyball without blind. I mean, okay, I'm not blind, but okay, I didn't have any help. They tried to get me to wear these goggles, you guys.
Rex specs, come on.
I felt like I had horse blinders on. I'm like, no fucking way am I wearing these. I can't, my peripheral vision is gone. I don't have any. So
which is huge for a setter. I mean, you're taking looks over every second.
Exactly. You know? I'd be like rubbernecking left and right. Anyways. So yeah, ended up playing without contacts for 3 matches, something like that. Everything was a blur. I played great. I don't know how, but I think just when random stuff starts happening, you're like, I got to just be extra focused now.
Yeah, very true.
We do the best we can. Like I said earlier, we do the best we can.
But doing it all blind's like a whole new stretch. I luckily don't need glasses or anything like that, but I've definitely
you
put
wake up
one.
and see perfectly in the morning.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's so nice. It's like HD everywhere. That's why I'm very picky with TVs. My eyes are just so good.
Yeah, we're spoiled, Brandon. I never think about people not being able to see. And also eye care should be free because you need vision. I would prefer that everyone be able to see. Yeah, I would also prefer that you guys be able to see. So we should allow everyone that right, you know.
You're an ally. Thank you.
That's right.
You good? I
thought you were going to say something. I cut you off there.
You went from laughing to flat zero so quick. I was like, is he freeze? Is he trying to force awkward silence? Because I've already explained that the awkwardness is where I strive.
Come on.
Yeah, should we just sit here and stare at each other and see who breaks first?
I'm happy we committed to that though.
Yeah, none of us answered a question. We all just immediately went to doing it.
Imagine if we would have gone the rest of this recording. It's just silent. When we
viewers at home, we're still here. We are just intensely staring off digitally, by the way, at our webcams.
All right. Well, actually, I do have a question. Okay. So when we were trying to schedule, you obviously were back in Italy for Chef Cup. So how did that go?
Yeah. So first year with this team in this club in Champions League. So that was really cool just to kind of go back to a place that I have pretty fond memories of. I won a Champions League with that team. So going back and just getting to see some of the fans again and then giving me little treats and little knickknacks was really nice. Of course, we lost 3-0. Thought we fought pretty well for our first match in Champions League. Not bad. And then actually a couple days ago, 2 days ago, 3 days ago, more days than that. A couple days ago, we played another one of my old teams, Dynamo Moscow, in Champions League here at home, and ended up losing in 5, which that one was tough. We definitely should have pulled that out. But yeah, this is like the pool of death and all of my old teams. I don't know how that worked out, but just, yep, roll the dice.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, fancy seeing you guys here.
Yeah, good seeing you guys again.
That's also like it's something I just thought about when you were saying that. Like that's another thing that's so much different than being home or playing in college is like, because when you're at Wisconsin or like in Nebraska, like you know that you're in for 4 years of being one of the top teams in the league and you're always going to be that. And it's like 1 year you could be playing overseas where you're literally on the best team in Italy or something like that. And all the players around you are absolutely incredible. And then you go to a different team in a different country where, I mean, you love the fit in Turkey and I'm not speaking to the skill level of your team in Turkey or anything, but just in general, like you can then go to a team where you don't have, like you go completely flip to a team where you don't have anything that you once had. And now it's like completely different. And in college, you don't really go through that because it's just a firing line of new, young, 6 foot, whatever, 7 foot, whatever people that are always going to come in and rip a ball.
Exactly. That's just, and with recruiting and with college, there is that consistency there. Whereas when you get to professional, like who knows? Again, people may not be doing their jobs. You can have a couple players change throughout the season as well. And that's the job, period. So it's definitely less consistency when you're overseas on your professional teams. And who knows if I'll be here on the same team next year. There's just so many factors that go into it. My play, the budget, what the club wants to do and what their goals are. And then of course, it's not only about the volleyball side, it's about the business and Turkish Airlines and how the company is doing. So there's just so much behind the scenes that we don't realize and we don't think about a lot.
Very true.
Yeah.
I don't just, again, shit just comes into my head. Are you doing anything for Christmas? You doing anything special? Because that's like another thing that people really love taking advantage of when they're here. Because like you said, there's literally no rest. You do not get like when you're doing a desk job, you get like a couple weeks vacation. You don't even get to choose your vacation overseas. You just like, and like, oh, this is another hot topic. Like they'll tell you have like a week or 2 off. Like when I like, and then like, they'll just be like, oh, we got training on Monday. I was like, no, like this is our week off. And they're like, no, you're going to lift tomorrow. I was like, okay, cool. That's great.
Yeah. I mean, you have no control over your schedule. That's one thing that I know when I'm done with volleyball for good, I'll be like, whoa, what? Like I get to decide when I want to do things. This is weird. This is weird. So that, and okay, Christmas. Yes. I actually get to go home for Christmas. With Turkey, they give us a break where we don't have any Turkish league matches. Actually, we just finished our first half yesterday, and our first league match isn't until January 9th. So I am going home. We have a Champions League match on the 21st, so I'll be home 22nd through, I don't know. We'll see how many days they give us. It's like if you win, we may give you a couple more. If you lose, you're coming back here on the 27th or something. So if I had to guess, I'll probably be home for like 6 days. I remember, when I was playing in Italy, we didn't have that. It was like, nope, we're here. You're playing on 24 and then again on 26. Like they don't care about your Christmas. They don't care about your holidays. You better play.
I've heard Italy is crazy with it.
That was sad. That's kind of depressing. But yeah.
Oh.
But I get to go home this year and I have my little Christmas tree over there. You see it?
Yeah.
I do see it. It looks good. Well done.
Thank you.
I didn't know they sold those in Turkey.
Fun fact, Turkey doesn't really have turkey.
They don't have turkey.
They have turkey, but it's like, it's absolutely not their first choice of meat. Like we try to get a turkey for Thanksgiving. No.
Yeah.
I think they do it just to not be the butt of jokes. They're like, no, screw this.
That's hilarious, actually. I think turkeys are like pretty much an American bird, actually. Like they in contention. Fun fact, they were in contention to be like our national bird along with the bald eagle. So
I'm really glad that we went with the bald eagle.
Yes,
Yeah.
me too. I didn't want
We
to.
would have been more of a laughing stock
Yeah.
than we like.
Our country probably wouldn't have made it this long if we were the turkeys.
Those turkeys.
Well, I feel like we are wrapping it up, but I did want to ask you, throughout your career, you've obviously had a really good trajectory, just from playing at a top club and winning like Gatorade Player of the Year to being at a top, Division I college and then going out to the USA team. What are some of like the key takeaways for any of like the younger listeners out there? Just some like key points of advice that you could give them to make the best of their career, things that worked well for you.
Yeah, I mean, one is just like have a beyond ridiculous work ethic. Nothing is going to get handed to you. If you want to go out and get extra hours and get in the gym, like go and ask and go and do it. You don't need to do it because people are watching or because you want other people seeing. Like if you're doing it for other people, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. So I would say just have a crazy work ethic. Also, I always preach that like, even if volleyball isn't your passion, like find something that you are truly passionate about. Because for me, I don't feel like I'm doing a job when I'm playing. I'm just out here. Like I get paid to play a game. This is the sickest job ever. And it's because it's my passion. And it's because I know this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing and where I'm supposed to be doing it. And that like really gives me peace and happiness every day, just knowing that this is my passion and I love doing it. So find something you're passionate about and like chase after it 110%. And then another thing is have the tough conversations or ask the questions when they come to you, to whatever resources you have. These can be coaches, these can be teachers, parents, other players. I know like sometimes too, if you reach out to us on Instagram, like we will take time out of our day and answer you guys because you are actively seeking answers and being willing to learn and being open. So I think those are just 3 things: massive work ethic, find something you're passionate about, and have those conversations and ask questions, and be a really active learner.
Damn, that's some really good tips. Yeah, I'd say as far as work ethic, like if you're deciding not to do something, assume your competitors are they're making that decision to do it. So just have that in the back of your head. Like, oh, I'm not going to work out today. Well, someone else is working out today. Well, I'm not going to do these last 5 reps. Well, someone else is doing 6 more reps. So that's really good advice. And also definitely seek out advice from your mentors and like just older people around you. They have lived a little bit longer than you. They have really good advice and good experience that you don't always have to take it, but at least get that perspective.
Definitely.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Lauren, for coming on. It's been a blast. Glad we finally made it happen. And cross our fingers, no more crazy things happening. You're gonna finish out the season strong, and it's gonna go well.
Well, thanks for making this fun, guys. I appreciate it.